know if everybody's so hyped up from being up so late last night watching the election returns, but it's good to see so many people here this morning, and no matter how the election results turned out for you, I think we're probably all just glad it's over. And we don't have to listen to all those commercials on TV and all that negative campaigning that went on this year. So before we get started with the program this morning, I'd like to ask that we just take a minute to remember Carl Anderson. Carl passed away last week, and he provided leadership to the River Partnership and the dredging of the river, and was a real champion for our natural resources here in Ashtabula County. So if we could just take a minute to remember Carl. Thank you. This morning's speaker is Tim McCarthy. Tim is the Chief Mission Officer of the Business of Good Foundation. Today he's presenting Change Awaits Us. The Business of Good is a charitable foundation dedicated to assisting nonprofit organizations in expanding their capacity to meet the personal, economic, social, and self-esteem needs of the very poor. Please help me welcome Tim McCarthy.
Thank you very much. A couple of housekeeping items. Weapons down. Make sure to turn those babies off. Is there anybody here from the Ashtabula Chamber? Excellent. Do you have any more of these? Okay, everybody who complimented me on my tie, I looked on the back and it says Ashtabula Chamber of Commerce. She'll take your business card and you can get one, yet this morning or soon. I'm going to start by just showing you our website and invite you to please come see our website because it's where we'll kind of, as we grow over the next 10 years and hopefully more, this is where the action's going to be. It's thebusinessofgood.org. Thebusinessofgood.org. And if you ever get bored and want to do something to put you to sleep, come on onto the site and enjoy. Oh, that's another housekeeping thing. I can't stand still, and I get bored listening to me, so I'm going to try to get through these charts in less than 20 minutes so that you guys can talk about what you want to talk about. So I'll tell you as fast as I can the main things I've been through both in for-profit and non-profit. And then I was hoping, let's just dialogue. You know, whatever interested you about what I talked about, maybe we can talk a little further about with questions. As soon as I find my weapon. Of course it's up on the podium. Okay. I'm going to talk about for-profit business, the business of good, and within that, we're going to talk about our nonprofit partnerships, which is most of what we do. And awaiting change. I thought a great way to kick off awaiting change. All awaiting change means, and I'll give you the quote that I pulled that from, which is a book I read just a couple of weeks ago, is that patience really helps when you're trying to change things, because what you find out is it's you that has to change. That's probably the biggest thing I've learned in my life. I was sure I could change everything around me until the day I realized the job was to change me. And once I started changing me, I had a chance to affect those things around me more positively. And then from this same book and this same man, MT, by the way, is Mother Teresa. That's what I used to call her. I ran out of room. Okay. But she used to say there's nothing we've forgotten more than that we belong to each other. There's nothing, not just America, but in the world that we've forgotten more than the very idea we belong to each other. Judge each other all we want, fight all we want, do whatever we want. We still belong to each other. It's our world. It's not somebody else's world that's doing wrong, and we're doing right. Okay, real quick, about 500 yards from here, that's the McCarthy Ranch, about 4 doors down from the Broughtons. And I just wanted to, my dad bought that house in 1931, died there in 90, or actually nearby, and my mom still had it until Tom Picken picked it up and did a brilliant job redoing it. But that's how it looked back in the day. And there's my 9 brothers and sisters. There's the people who are in that house. That's my 9 brothers and sisters. My little sister Janie, a lot of you knew. Probably a lot of you knew Bill. Oh, I can do this fast, actually. Bill, David, Terry, Mary, Kathy, Steve, Sheila, Felicia, Tim, and Jane. That's what we learned to do. But that's just establishing that, I started in Ashtabula. I love Ashtabula. Went out, I spent, I don't know, 10 or 12 years in the corporate world and got thrown out. Wasn't very proud of it then, but I'm proud of it now. And I started a company in 1988 called Workplace Media. It actually went through about 4 or 5 major changes. It wasn't even called Workplace Media at the beginning. But all this is showing you is that it's a database company that delivers coupons to where people work instead of where they live. So billions of dollars are spent in the Sunday newspaper and that kind of thing, and in direct mail. We figured out how to get permission from employers. Ended up being about 900,000 of them that represent about 70 million working people. And then we delivered coupons for people like McDonald's or Goodyear, and we had the database geocoded, so we could radar into wherever they wanted us to work. So if they were introducing a new product, which is what we were most often used for, that kind of thing, is what our business was. In 2007, I sold that business, 80% of it, into a New York private equity company called Riverside that's also based in Cleveland, and kind of moved on with my life. I'm still on their board. I still own about 18% of the company. I still love the company, but I don't spend much time on it. They won't let me. Second business I started was with my son Tim in 2003. There's a Baton Rouge concept, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, called Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. They do fresh, never frozen chicken tenders, we call them up here. There's thousands of these stores in the southeast, but there'd never been one north of the Mason-Dixon line. And so while Cane's has about 100 of them altogether now, we started, Timmy and I and a partner named Roy Getz, started Raising Cane's of Ohio in Columbus. And we now have 6 Raising Cane's stores, and we'll be building 3 next year. They're doing very well. And if you ever want to have a business, Nate will tell you, or any other restaurateur here, that's an awful, awful business. It's the restaurant business. This is one that Ellie and Gloria are very glad I'm bringing up today. It's a good idea. It's an $8 million condominium development that we built over here, about a mile from here, called Aaron Bluff Villas. Until 2007 summer, I think it was, right? Summer of 2007. It went brilliantly, and they sold like crazy. And since then, until last week, we hadn't sold one in 3.5 years. But, it was my first and last venture in developing. I'm still proud of it. We not only created beautiful homes and large homes after we fixed them, but it's a great development. Alice and I still absolutely love living there. Could you stand up for a second? And Kelly? These are my business partners in the business of good. That's Alice McCarthy, 35 years my partner, and Kelly Sposito, 2 years and unhappy about even that. Okay, nonprofit. We started in 1997. Me and Alice started a foundation once the business seemed to start going good, the workplace media business. And our mission was to serve those who serve the poor. Now that's going to become an important theme over and over in what I'm going to tell you this morning, is we don't serve the poor. But we serve those who serve the poor. It's an important distinction. And our basic theme is business can do well by doing good, nonprofits can do better by doing business. So essentially we tend to teach nonprofits how to do business, how to use business disciplines to sustain or to grow their mission. That's mostly what we do. It started with a priest at our parish in Kirtland, Norm Smith, who dragged me down to the St. Clair Superior neighborhood, one of the poorest neighborhoods in the poorest city in America. There was an old church called St. Philip Neri, which had beautiful old buildings but hadn't been used in years, and we helped create a thing called the Freehand Ministry Center. Freehand was after my mom's saying, which was, if you're not going to give with a free hand, you shouldn't bother giving. Just don't bother. And so we created the Freehand Ministry Center. We developed 9 services over 10 years. It was an awesome, awesome experience. We learned a lot, including what not to do. And now it's self-sustaining by Catholic Charities. We're no longer involved. Case history starting in 2001, and this is probably our best case history on International Partners in Mission. Maybe some of you know it. It's a Cleveland-based international group. They quite simply serve women and children and children's health issues on the plains of India, Sub-Saharan Africa, and in Central America. And the long story short here is just, it's the first formal business plan we did for a nonprofit, and we helped stabilize it. Like the first year we were there, we were just sending our bookkeeper down to their place for a half day every Friday to figure out where their money was, which they had none. and then, you know, once we stabilized around 02, 03, we created a thing called the Immersion Experience Program. Now this is, to me, and this is the point, you know, the question Dr. Stocker had was, what does the business of good do? This is the essence of it. And that is, if you can have a business practice discipline, you can go from $300,000 in annual income, 41 projects, to where they were last year, 1.3 million, 70 projects. So, actually I'll go on and then I'll come back. Here's, so Alice and I decided we were crazy enough, and one time we took our kids too, to actually see how these people are served by the International Partners in Mission. And 04 we went to El Salvador. 06 we went and met these nuns. Now here's what these nuns do. They're from, where were they, baby? I want to say Nigeria. So they came over to live near Naples, Italy, because hundreds of the children from their country were being trafficked into Naples into prostitution. Boys and girls 6 years old to maybe 16 years old. You know, these people would figure out how to bamboozle their parents, say we're taking them to freedom. They'd get them over to Italy, to Naples, and put them in the slave trade of sex and prostitution. These ladies here, I remember this one right here, said, what they do every day is they go to the corner, the prostitution corner, and they stand quietly and pray. And they hope that one of the young girls or young boys whose language they speak will come over and talk to them, ask them what they're doing, which about 1, maybe 2 a month, in fact, do. And when they do, and that's what I was going to tell you, this lady said, we no fuss, team. We no fuss. We no fuss anyone. Because, of course, they'd get killed. They're putting themselves in harm's way. And so if a person does come over to them and say, what are you doing? They'll say, well, we're praying for you, and we love you, and we have a hiding place if you'd like to go to it. And so Alice and I spent a day in the hiding place, and in between tears, we saw them teach these, they probably had what, 50, 70 men, 50, 70 women. And they spend a year mainstreaming them back into society, teaching them sewing, teaching them computers, teaching them not to fear any longer. And at the end of that year, they give them a chance to either go back, which they can do, or they give them a chance to mainstream into Italian society, obviously not in Naples. Here's Nairobi, a lovely place that we went to. You've heard of all the prettiness in Africa. Well, here's a very lovely place. That's called Kibera. It is a 2 million person slum. It's actually where Slumdog Millionaire, the opening scenes, that's where Slumdog Millionaire was filmed. And we don't know poverty. We don't know poverty in America. And I'm sure a lot of you have had these kinds of experiences, so I won't dwell on them, but I mean, that's where 2 million people live, in Nairobi, Kenya. And it's one of 8. It's just the largest of 8 major slum areas in Nairobi. So this is the inside of Kibera, and it's, of course, as you can imagine, you know, the abandoned school, or the what, you know, right? No. It's the school where about 400 kids from the St. Charles brothers are taught. And they're the lucky ones, because there's only about 400 of them out of those millions, or however many kids are among the millions in Kibera, that the Charles brothers can take care of. But that's the actual school. That's where Alice and I spent a day. Actually, our kids were with us then, too. We went from classroom to classroom in that school and talked with the kids and listened to them sing and that kind of a thing. I mean, now that's poverty. So, what's the point? The point is the business of good wants to serve those who do good by helping them do business more effectively. Ain't no way we're going to serve directly. All I kept telling the director of International Partners when we were in each one of those situations is, Joe, when am I going home? When are you going to take me home? I don't want to be here anymore. So, you know, I can't imagine myself serving. And I don't even want to try, but I sure can help International Partners by setting them up better business practices so that they can do better. And that's what Kelly and me and Alice and another guy who was, you know, I doubt if he could get over here this early in the morning from the other side of town. So, plus he's heard me speak before, so he knew better. So lastly, they asked us to talk about the Ashtabula Incubator, which is a fun project that we got engaged in a few years ago. Alice went down to her favorite, where my mother and her used to have lunch at Hulbert's frequently, and went down to that street. Met some amazing pioneers named Carlisles and DeFinas and Shelley Mullen and all those crazy people who showed up there, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago, and have stayed strong and pioneering in their businesses. And after she tried to run events that first summer and nobody showed up, we decided that maybe another way to go at it is the same way we go at how we engage with nonprofits, and that is get crazy people like, stand up, Nathan. My favorite barbecue in America, briquettes. Let's have a round of applause. But you get a guy like Nate, who's the middle one here, or Jake Sposito, or Nancy and Doug Heydrich, or, you know, a couple other people who I'm forgetting right now. And that's what you want to get behind. We're not going to do any of the work. You know, I can't imagine smoking barbecue. I don't like looking at the pig. You know, I don't want to do what Nate does for a living. I think it's, you know, I want it after he's done with it, not before. But what we can do, what we can do is the second thing. So I've told you about trying to get behind people like the Lift Bridge Community Association. But we provide capital, counsel, and ongoing discipline for unbankable entrepreneurs. So no offense to Nate, he's not embarrassed by it. He had no capital to start a restaurant. You know, Jake didn't know what to do to go find the roaster that he now roasts coffee with. You know, Nancy and Doug, you know, he's a teacher in Conneaut. He didn't know what. And we've got some non-Bridge Street people we bring in too. And every month, Banker Bob from First Andover, stand up, Banker Bob. That's our favorite banker. Bob sits down with us every month. We get sponsorship and appearances by the people that have been there a long time, like Tony and Ren, and Shelley and Mike and Linda. And we also get the great young entrepreneurs, and we just work. We just work. We create key performance indicators. We figure out business disciplines that help us in business, and we just work. We just figure out how to make them more healthy, because we believe simply that if they get more healthy, then over time, Bridge Street will get more healthy. And then, of course, our real goal is, if successful, We've already got a Geneva business, we got a Conneaut business, we got some others. But over time, if successful, then we'll try to expand it throughout the county. And the last slide is just our point of our kind of rules. Everybody loved Churchill. One of my favorite Churchill sayings is, success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. And I'm telling you, it's so true. I mean, that's the humor of it. So we've had a ton of failures. I'm telling you quickly about some success we've had. We've had a ton of failures. Oh my gosh, unbelievable amount of failures. And so a few of the things we've learned is what our rules are. I don't know why I'm sharing it, but I guess to tell you how it works. We follow, maybe we nudge. Actually, we nudge a lot, but we never lead. I mean, what would I know to tell international partners in mission, let alone Briquettes, about what they should do for their business? I don't know. So we got to follow, but we nudge them on the things that we know how to do. Business discipline, that's all we know, that's all we provide. We get asked all the time about whether they should do this or do that. We don't know. We don't know, and we have to be careful not to know. We thought we knew, but we've learned. Nothing works without transparency, trust. There's no limit to the amount of businesses and the amount of nonprofits that come to Kelly and Alice and some other people that work with us and are absolutely convincing in saying, oh, I want to change. I want to change. Anybody want to guess how many out of 10, how many really want to change? Yeah, 1 or 2. 1 or 2. So we got to be very careful about that. So as soon as we see there's not transparency or trust with the person, Nate looked at us pretty funny a few times when we first got started. But he was crazy enough to trust us. We were crazy enough to trust him. When that trust or transparency leaves, there's nothing to work on. Nothing to work on. Because then you're just BSing each other. So we don't do it. And we absolutely have to follow no power, no profit. We don't want it. We get asked on the boards all the time. I take the Groucho Marx, take on that. I wouldn't want to be on a board that would have me because it'd be a very crazy board. And we want no profit. We were lucky enough when we sold the business that we used all that money to base into the foundation. And all that money is in the foundation to serve. We're going to spend whatever time God has left for us serving those who serve the poor. So there's no profit in anything we do. We make sure of it. But that also puts us in a really cool position because then nobody suspects our motives. So the close is what Father Greg Boyle, who gathered up thousands of gang members in the 168 of whom he buried in Los Angeles over the last 23 years and created a thing called Homeboy Industries, which is a great example of a social business. Homegirl Cafe, Homeboy silk screening, Homeboy merchandise, and they do about $20 million a year in business. All that business goes to bring gang members out of the drugs and the poverty and the hopelessness that they're in, and has made just a dramatic change. I recommend strongly his book, Tattoos on the Heart. He just came out a few months ago, Tattoos on the Heart. But in that book, he says, change awaits us. The amount of sacrifice is astounding. There is heartache, there's hope, there's disappointment, there's delight. There's selfishness, there's selflessness. The reason I like that so much is there's no lack of reality. Boyle is, as I hope business of good will be. Reality is reality. We try to face it with a smile, but people who say, oh no, if you just take a good attitude, it'll all change. No, it won't. It is what it is. Reality is reality. He says, so you see all of it, but it's like an epic journey. Change is. It's all about coming together. It's always been about coming together. So here's the things we can talk about. If any of those 3 things interested you or particular things, please, we're now open to questions. Any of the particular things you'd like to talk about? Oh, I hit the, sorry. He said don't walk under the speaker. But any questions or certain areas you want to talk about, I'll be glad to, or we can all get to work early. Yes, sir.
Hi, Mr. McCarthy. My name is David Thomas, and I'm from Green River Academy. I'm a senior.
I like the mister. Thank you.
I was just curious, for your Asheville Incubator project, how did the county government, the state government help you with the project, and how did they possibly hurt?
Neither. We're happy to say that just like in nonprofits, we do no advocacy. In our for-profit supports, we do no government pro or con. We just completely right down the middle. Nobody's hurt us, nobody's helped us. I mean, no, that's not true. I mean, growth partnership and chamber and, oh my gosh, I'll forget somebody. We know all those people, and oh my God, we love what they do. And they seem to like us so far. But no, we don't, I wouldn't make any judgments, because I have none. They do some right things, they do some wrong things, and this is going to shock you because I sound awful smart this morning. I do some wrong things as well as right things. Alice, do you want to take over? Do you want to? Banker Bob.
Well, I was just going to say,
Did I pay you for this? No. This better be a marshmallow, baby, because I'm not.
putting a plug in for our meeting in the Harbor. If you wanted to attend that meeting, and so.
Oh, great, yeah. When's the next one, boss?
November, last Monday of November.
Last Monday of November. It always happens. There's a little office above Fish Sticks, that wonderful sushi and noodle restaurant on Bridge Street. We have our office up there. Now you go through the door that says Fitness Center, but don't let it fool you. We're up there. And on Monday night at 5:30, the last Monday of the month, absolutely everyone's welcome. That's what we say at the end of every meeting. Hi, Mary. That's what we say at the end of every meeting, is that anyone's welcome. Now, a lot of people come and a lot of people go, but they're always welcome, and we love the fact that, that more people over time might get involved in the meeting. Strictly business disciplines. We try to have some fun, try to have a few laughs. We talked Stuart Cordell, God bless him, into showing up regularly, and he's now kind of our counselor, which we pay him big bucks for. Actually, I think Kelly gives him a cup of coffee from Harvard Perk. And so we have some other engaged people. Bob's there always to help with the bank side. A young CPA named Andre is there often now. So, a wonderful business person you may be familiar with from Geneva named Dave Jones, who runs Mary's Diner, which is one of our favorite places. David gives us all his free time, and literally when the kids go over there, like you did the Nate loves to make fun of him because he did a cost thing with David, and David sat him down and showed him how he counts the napkins, and the ketchup things or whatever, So we get a lot of people at those meetings too that are on the helper side. So yeah, anybody wants to come anytime, including if you want to give your experience. These kids need it. God, it must have been fascinating. Anybody?
I just have to put in another plug for the tie. They also have scarves for women.
Oh, if you don't like the Ashtabula Chamber tie, then they have scarves that are just like it. And they're cool. I always get comments on it when I wear it. I wear a tie twice a year.
Just as long as we're sending out plugs here, I was commenting that when I came back to Grand River Academy from North Carolina 3 years ago, one of the things I was so happy about moving back to Northeastern Ohio was the baked goods, and how wonderful they are here. But what I missed most was the barbecue that is especially down in North Carolina, and that's until Bridge Test open. So, love to you, David.
While building, I couldn't agree more, while building workplace media, I was on a plane literally full time. And so I've had barbecue everywhere, and usually we try to find the good places. Absolutely not one speck better. I've never had better than I had down at Nate's. I agree with you totally. Chris?
Is there any business too large, too small? Is there a fee?
Great question. We're still considering doing a fee. Stuart hasn't made that final decision. I'll blame it on him if we do a fee. That was slick, wasn't it? Yeah, thanks. But no fees yet, and if we ever did a fee, it would be just to cover the basic, as I said, we take no profit. So eventually we'll stop, maybe. And the other reason for a fee maybe someday will be because it makes it more meaningful. There's no limit on large, small. There's no limit on new, old. There's no limit on anything. Our whole idea is just, what was it Mother Teresa said, We forget. We belong to each other. And so we do it on a business basis. It's no different than doing it on a religious basis or on a nonprofit or a profit basis. We belong to each other. So yeah, we'll take anybody. For a time. They may get sick of us.
Do you get kicked out if you don't make progress?
Nathan, how do you want to answer that?
You make progress.
You know what? That's the honest answer. You make progress or you don't want to come back. So it's not us that kicks you out, but you get a little uncomfortable being there. Because people that don't come in and do their work, what's the point? So I don't lean it either way. The first boss I ever had who was amazing used to say, we've lost the meaning of fair. We think fair means lenient, and it doesn't. Fair means you do your work, I do my work, we all try to do the best we can, we accept each other's mistakes, whatever, but we just keep going on a fair basis. No, we don't kick anybody out, but we've lost a few over time. Any others? I saw a couple of tempted hands. Go for it.
So just to make sure I understand.
Sure.
If there were a nonprofit that was struggling, you would come and do your thing?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked it that way because there's probably a number of nonprofits in the room. Here's how it works. Absolutely any nonprofit, you bet. We'll sit down with you, we'll spend some time, and we'll definitely give you some thinking. And, it's even more than one meeting, it's whatever you need it to be and that kind of thing. And then we judge compatibility, and we ask you to judge compatibility. So you'll figure out, well, this isn't working for me, or I don't like they're too honest, or they're kind of goofy, or we'll figure out, well, they're telling us, remember I said 1 or 2 out of 10 actually want to change. We'll figure out that, they're telling us, because they love the theme of what we do, but they're not really changing it, they're not really serious about it. So yeah, the answer to your question is yes, we talk to anybody anytime. How long we talk to them or how long we progress is up to them and up to us. That make sense?
Yes.
Okay, but yeah, absolutely. Anyone we'll talk to. Glad to. Hell, if Ren talks to me, I got to turn around and talk to anybody, right? He knew me when I was a little kid. Anybody else? Well, I can tell you, this is a hell of a privilege. I thought about my mom and dad and how they'd feel if they saw me standing here. And they'd be pretty proud. So thanks for honoring me by letting me be here, and God bless you.
Thank you. It's a new day here in Ashtabula County. I think it's a very positive message, and thank you for sharing that with us. Welcome you all back in December. The speaker will be Ren Carlisle, so I'm sure it will be another informative session. So we'll see you all in December. Thanks for coming and have a great day.